Hello, everybody, and welcome to Friday Facts 383 and 384. Haha, I skipped last week because this one wasn't a big one, so I wanted to cover them at the same time. But 383 here is super force building. So they're just going over, I guess this is the tile animation showcased in the previous Friday Facts, now integrated in the game, and this is how it looks. So I guess, yeah, you put the tiles down and it does its thing. So I guess you can do this. This is like a ghosted image and it's just building. That's pretty cool. So there you go. All right. And then they are talking about super force building. And this is tying into, they've added another level of blueprinting basically. So as you can see here, you can't place down in water. Well, guess what? Force it. And then now it puts the landfill down as well as the accumulators and the solar and the power pole and all that. And then they have the same ability in space as they're showing here. So they put the inserters down and they need the machines to be out here a little more. And then there's the shredders. So place the inserters down, obviously, the platform underneath the buildings, the shredders in this case. And then here we have where you can say, no, I want the rail and all this other junk here, roboports, power poles, the big power poles. I want that in place of the other items that are there. And that's kind of helpful when it comes to building on water, as well as, oh, I got this solar field I'm going to move. Maybe they're going to move this solar out of here and they're trying to, get some rail going. And that's kind of what they're showcasing here. Because I don't know why you'd want to go through a solar field that you already have, just go around it, but it's just showing that. And then I think here they're showing, oh yeah, I can place the wall and it's going to remove the entity that's in the way, which is the laser turret. And then the same thing here with the substation, they're showing, oh yeah, you can place the substation over the belt and it returns everything for you. Or to you. You can do a beacon now. This is very helpful, but you got to have your inserters a certain way. And then there's rail, roboport. Oh, they've got a bunch of different examples here. Oh, cool. Radar. Yeah, radar right in the middle of belt. Just put it. You don't have to put. They're just showcasing this stuff. This stuff doesn't make any sense. It's like, why would you do that? This doesn't make any sense here. You got a bunch of belt there. You could have done it better. In other words. Yeah, these are just like, hey, look what we can do. Put a lamp right in the middle. Yeah, it's kind of like, why would you do that? Yeah, it's kind of funny. And then mining landfill now. So you can mine landfill that you've placed. That's nice. And then you can place the water pumps in. So you landfilled this. But the water is still there. So they programmed it in where landfill, it's still acknowledged as there was water underneath it. That's kind of nice. Very cool. All right, so let's go back. Let's go to the current Friday Facts. And here we go. Friday Facts number 384, Combinator 2.0, baby. So I can summarize this fairly quickly. I had to really understand this. So I'm kind of reacting to it, but not. The way they're doing the GUI now, this is a train stop here. And before, you would have to connect a wire to it in order to know that these options even exist. And then you have to click on each option to know what they do. So what they're doing now is, watch this. It says not connected, but you still see all the options all the time. And that's how it should be, because a lot of, a new player isn't even going to know to, hook a wire to a train stop and know, oh, I can do stuff with it, So this is a really good addition here. I think that because Factorio is pretty well out of the box, you can just have fun. And you can get trains. You can do point-to-point trains, empty, full, back and forth, back and forth. You can do coal, iron, and copper, coal, iron, copper. In that, yeah, you don't really need to worry about, you could do a simple belt base, and then when you run out of your starter resources, you can just have dedicated trains. And you do an input stacker for your iron and your copper and your coal. So you always have one train in, one train out, or you have multiple trains waiting to come in. And they take turns as long as you get your signaling right. So you don't, for a beginning game belt base, you're just launching one rocket. You don't need to go crazy. But this is for the crazy right here. So now what they're doing is they're having more information in the box. So when you click on this fast inserter, you can see that there's information being passed through, and you can determine what's going on by looking at the GUI now. So instead of having to hook a red wire up to it and determine what's going on, or a green wire, and hooking that up to you pick a red wire off of the inserter and you connect to a power pole, and then you can see what's going on. But that's kind of silly, because now you're wasting a red wire, it's wasting time. So this is like a troubleshooting tool more than anything else. As you can see here, we've got a signal, train signal, or rail signal, and you can see that if this is kind of weird. Close signal checkmark equals 0, and then read signal is on. So if you have a check mark that's 0, well, it's null, so there's no check mark, then this one will close. And then right now we have a red signal being transmitted out of it. So that's what that's doing. So we can actually see the information. And then here, this one, I guess the offshore pump, we want, if coal is greater than 50, then activate, enable. So we have 100 coal. So that's showing what the signal value is within the GUI, which is nice. This could get confusing because you're like, wait a minute, that's not. Usually you put something in there. So if coal is greater than 50, right now we have 100. And then this is the accumulator one, and it's telling us what the accumulator charge is within this GUI. So when you click on the accumulator, which is really nice. And then we get into Decider Combinator 2.0. And this one is crazy, what they've done here. Now, I was trying to figure this out before I started the recording so I could present it a little better. And I don't know what's going on here. You can do multiple functions within the Combinator, and you'll see this in the train stops or on train schedules. You can actually do all this stuff. It looks like they're doing an ANDing of these two signals here, green circuit, red circuit. So it's kind of like an oven thing, I guess, because the ovens require the green and red circuits. Now, if this is what's confusing me, this is green. So what it's saying, what we're getting here is we have 8 green circuits, but we want it to be greater than 8. In order to make this a 1. And then this one is not green, and it's saying we have 8. So I guess this is satisfied here. Now, ANDing means both have to be 1 in order for an output to be 1. So I don't understand why this is here. It's passing this out. So maybe that this, I don't know what's going on here. It's kind of confusing because it doesn't make sense to me, because the logic doesn't make sense. Now, it is passing through, if it's not equal to 4, output A. So there is no A signal here. So we have 4 on a green wire, mind you. And notice that we have red and green checkboxes. So you can discriminate between red and green wire. So if you have no choice but to hook a green and red wire up to something, you can say, well, you can choose now what wire you want to operate on for a specific function, which is really nice. So this is pretty powerful here. It actually expands the red and green wire functionality, but within the Combinator itself. So this is a decider. Yeah, I don't understand this. ANDing. Yeah, this is kind of unclear. And then they have this checkbox thing. So this checkbox is just a constant Combinator function. So look, it's outputting the green checkbox or check mark, and it's saying output 1. And then they've got an input count, and you can output onto either or both red and green wires. And this one is the red circuit one, which is kind of, like I said, it's confusing because you would think that this one, maybe this condition, I don't know. It's like, what I'm confused about is why is it's ANDing, yet it's outputting this particular signal here. I don't understand why it's doing that. Shouldn't this whole thing be operating on itself? You know, like you AND it and it becomes a 1 if all these conditions are met. And then if this signal here is not equal to 4, so it could be 3 or 5, then this will output, it'll be a 1. So you'll have a 1 no matter what on this signal here. If these two are satisfied, then the OR will activate and it'll output, right? So yeah, I'm a little confused on what they're doing here. But that's Factorio for you. All right, well, let's go on, move on here. So description for all combinators. So what they have is a description box now. So you can actually put in all this stuff here, and then it copies with blueprints too. So we have red and green wire activated if the accumulator drops below 20, which is at 100 right now. Output a checkbox or a check mark, and there's no output signal here, so that's how it's working. And then we have input-output on arithmetic combinators. So they have it on arithmetics, of course, which makes sense. So we're taking anything or everything signal or whatever that is, multiplying the green and red wire contents or signals by -2, and there it is right here. So we have that option now. And you can see that now what's nice about this is you can see what's going on within the combinator. Because a lot of people don't know this, but when you hook a green and red wire to an input of a combinator, it doesn't care that it's red and green. It will operate on all signals as if it's one wire. And this is the output. I don't see any way to discriminate between red and green wire on these arithmetics though. Because, and I guess that makes sense because it is mathing the signals. Whereas the decider, you can decide which signals now, the red or green, red or green or both, so that's kind of nice. Okay, so let's move on down here. And then now we have the new combinator. It's the selector combinator. I'm a little confused on how to use this because their example here, they're not giving us enough examples here or any. But now, disclaimer on this one, it is a work in progress. So they're just kind of starting to play with it, but it is a thing, and it will be a thing. They hinted onto a new combinator last time. It's the selector combinator. The primary function of it was motivated by a specific operation, which is very cumbersome to do and particularly impossible to do in a generic way. The function is indexing signals to process them one by one in some additional logic. Okay. For example, if you have a list of needed materials, you can use the selector combinator to index the first item, another to index second, and so on. I want to say that, this is for the rocket launching. Now, it's not very difficult to do. Well, I think it would add a lot more clean way to load a rocket with specific items. And the way you have to do it now is you have to get a positive number. Like, this is space exploration now. So if you played space exploration, you have to load a rocket and shoot it up to wherever, to another planet or to an orbit, right? How do you determine, or how do you stop the inserters from, overloading a particular item? You could have, like you have iron plate coming. Let's say you have four iron plate belts of, blue belts of iron plate, but you don't need all that, right? Or let's say you have a blue belt of iron. Well, you only want to load maybe 3,000 iron plate to send up into space. Well, you have to stop that inserter somehow. And the way you do it is you negate what's in the rocket and then subtract it from what's in space and from what's already loaded, right? So you have to negate the rocket contents and what's up in space, and you have to do some math there. Well, you just use an arithmetic combinator and negate a signal and subtract it from what's already existing, right, up in space. So I think what they're doing is they're allowing you to have tighter control over what's loaded into the rocket here, because that's what's going to happen in the the space age DLC or expansion, whatever they're doing. Now this is most likely going to be in Factorio 2.0 base game, so this will be nice to use. It'll simplify the process of loading rockets in other mods, or loading trains for that matter, or loading anything. It'd be kind of nice. So yeah, I'm not too sure what they're doing there. You got to sort ascending, descending here. They got an index number, and then they've got like other options like count inputs. They got a little mouse over key there, an information key, random input, stack size, rocket capacity, and quality transfer. And you got a description box there. So new selector combinator there, and some specific uses and modes, which is still subject to change. Now this is why you gotta take this and go, all right, well, let's just keep an eye on it. So the output the signal at the given index, sorted from biggest to smallest, or vice versa. Output the count of input signals. So I think that one, you can build an index from that, and then you'll know, oh, I have 5 indexes, and then you can say, all right, I need 5, use 5 of the selector combinators to do so whatever you need to do, I guess. Output a random signal from the inputs with custom update interval. Okay, output the stack size of an input item, so that way you know if you have room for it, I guess. Output the rocket capacity of the input item. Output the rocket capacity of the input item, useful for space age logistics, yeah. And then transfer the quality of an input signal. Oh, quality. Transfer the quality of an input signal. More on that another day, perhaps. Huh. Now, the wording of that is weird. Transfer the quality of an input signal. Why would it be the input signal? Why not the item? Interesting. Some of these could have been solved with custom signals in other places, like a stack size signal or arithmetic combinator to output the stack size of items. But we decided to go this way for cleanliness of design and better discoverability. Since the scope of the selector combinator is quite broad, there's also room for further functions we could give it. If you have some ideas, we would welcome them. Cool. Yeah, that's always nice. That's what's great about Factorio, is that they take, feedback from the community. This is not the last post about Circuit Network, since the decider combinator's ability to specify from which wires it should read is very nice. Yes, it is. We plan to make more improvements in this direction also on other places. There are new things entities do with Circuit Network, but it's for another time. So I guess they're gonna, we're gonna be able to connect wires to other things, and there's gonna be more functionality. And that's, if you think about it, what is a factory? How do you're programming a factory to do things, and the circuit network and the the logistic network with the wires and stuff and wireless networks and things. You should be able to do more with it, I think, and it should be more robust. And my biggest complaint is it's a hardware language, and it's based on ticks. I think that there should be some software stops that stop the program from running until it gets an input, but it doesn't keep running. Because when you do coding, it's not when the program is running, it's different than when it's not running, and you can control what the program is doing at any given time. And that Combinator is it's more of a machine language with a clock running consistently. So you have to have delays, you have to program delays, you have to program resets, you have to program memory, and all that. It's a lot tougher to program in Combinator language than it is a regular language. So I hope that they're going more towards a programming aspect where you code and then you hit run, so to speak. I don't know if that makes any sense, But yeah, I like the direction they're going here. It's pretty good. All right, so I hope you enjoyed the Friday Facts, the prior one and this one. And I'll see you in the next one. If it's any good, we'll cover it. Thanks for watching. See you next one. Peace out.